Hey, how's it going, everyone? Wanted to give another update on 2023 KTM 250XC TBI model. So I have just over 30 hours on this bike, and I still feel the same about it. I think it's an amazing bike. Um, does everything well. It's really a great all-around bike. So I've done 2 hair scrambles with it, a sprint enduro, and 2 days at the motocross track. Aside from that, the rest of the hours have just been regular riding through the woods and trails and stuff like that. And yeah, I love how playful this bike is in comparison to my I say old because I sold it, my KTM 300 XCW. That bike was amazing too. Really, the deciding factor was this bike just feels so much more playful in the woods. I love the engine characteristics of it. Just how it's just a little more rev happy. So I wound up selling the 300 because I haven't been riding it. I've been just riding this guy. And I just, no complaints, really. It's 100% stock aside from the handguards and the spark arrestor, which they don't count as mods. Yeah, it's holding up great. No issues. If anything, probably get the suspension done for my weight. Aside from that, I don't really foresee putting a higher compression head on it. I did not get the ECU updated, so if I hit my start button while it's running, I could probably get that, I'll get that code. But I have not done that yet. I have not changed anything on that either. As you can see, it's still exactly the way it came. I just, yeah, I can see how it can happen to some people, but I'm pretty cautious. And yeah, and everybody I let ride it, I've warned them. I said, I have not done it. Do not hit the start button while the bike is running. That is the only thing I care about. Everybody that I've let ride this bike so far, they've loved it as well. Especially, I just had a buddy in town and he rode it. He's coming from a Sherco 300 and he got off and he was like, wow, that's an amazing bike. He feels very planted. Power's great. Really where it impressed me was the motocross track. I didn't know what to expect because it's been a long time since I've ridden a 2-stroke on a motocross track. So, it had to be, I don't know, I'm thinking a 2006 KTM 125 SX. It's the last 2-stroke I rode on a motocross track, where obviously 125 250. But man, this bike, I even put it in my video. I barely had to clutch it. The bike just makes power everywhere. Yeah, if you wanted to, come out of a corner real hard, you can clutch it. But the point being, I never felt like the power was lacking to clear anything. Now I was on a mellow track, it's beginner friendly, but for me, it was great. Hair scrambles, the technical stuff, when you get deep in the woods and roots and stuff. Yeah, the suspension may be a little stiff for some of that stuff, but honestly, guys, I only feel it my 3rd lap when I'm just beat. That's the only time I really sometimes feel that the suspension is a little stiff to me. Everything is stock. I've been running this bike in the normal KTM settings for suspension. My air fork up front, the fork pressure is 135. I am 165 pounds without gear. And that's been the setup I've been using, and I've been really happy with it. Yeah, I mean, for the motocross track, I actually did pick up a 2023 YZ250F because my 300 sold. And that's simply because the only place I'm going to give 4 strokes advantage to me is I shouldn't say only, but they're amazing bikes too. But I just love 2 strokes. But on a motocross track, freaking 4 strokes are good. So my daughter's been getting into motocross track, the kids tracks, and she wants to do a lot of motos. So I figured I'd pick up a 4-stroke 250. Probably will race that in a hare scrambler 2 this year. Maybe, we'll see. It's not the FX, it's just the motocross version. But anyway, back to this bike. Yeah, no problems. Furthest I've gone is I think 48 miles on that tank. I didn't run out. That's just the longest hare scramble I've had. I think it was 48 miles total. Yeah, and the fuel light wasn't even on. That was running it in the white map. I have changed my tune a little bit. I've been racing it in the white map instead of the green map. But both maps are great. I just leave it in the white map because it's a little less off the bottom and just to conserve energy. But yeah, doing a bunch of stuff with this bike. Been loving it. And I got another hare scramble, not this weekend, coming up next weekend. I promise I'll get some good footage of that race. Really screwed up the last one, which is a bummer because that track was awesome. That probably had the most technical terrain as far as like hills and stuff. There were a couple of like rock walls to climb up, and this thing was great. They had some choices of lines and easy hill climbs to steeper, harder hill climbs, and really just there's no issue. I don't really feel like this bike is lacking anywhere power-wise from my 300. Just carry a little more momentum. You can't like really lug it as easily as that 300, but how much fun this bike is. The chassis, engine, just feels so free revving. I love it. Yeah, doesn't have that instantaneous throttle response as the carb bikes, but it's still great. Runs like a perfectly tuned 2-stroke. I'm sure I've heard it on other videos, but it really does. It never sputters, never bogs. It's always there whenever you need it. And so I'll do another update when I get some more hours on this, but yeah, at 30 hours, I love it. And I really was contemplating when I bought the Yamaha, do I just buy another one of these? You know, price, I didn't want to spend that kind of money, but I almost thought about just buying 2 identical bikes and having, one be kind of my just bike I ride and then the one I race. Because it's amazing how quick the hours rack up on these things. Well, at least for me, I try and ride at least once a week. Usually once a week, not really more. But if there's like, with the holiday season that just passed down here in Florida, I took a week off of work, so I went out a couple of times and got some more hours on this thing. Anyway, don't want to make this video too long. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below, and I usually get back to you guys within, the same day and answer any questions you may have. Another question that I always get, graphics kit. SKDA. That's who makes this kit. I made some modifications, put all the gear like that I wear. That's the only thing. So like the Motor X comes there, but Troy Lee Designs and all these guys. So it's a cool company. You can, like most of them, you can edit and make any kind of changes to who's on the, your graphics kit and change colors up and everything. I have one coming for the Yamaha, so I'll do an install video of that when it gets here probably next week. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys.